Hey. Oh, is it working? Nice. Yeah, I had an issue yesterday. Don't show again. Oh. Yeah, sorry. I had an issue yesterday. The stream didn't work, but now it works. Great. Let's see. So we are going to explore. I made this video. Oh, can this auto update? It's constantly updating. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I made this video. I was gonna stream, but the stream didn't work, so I made a video instead. And it's really about how do you actually configure a repository. Oh, what did I do? Oh, nice. What the hell? How do you actually configure repository? Oh, come on. To work well with agents, and how do you do it in a generic way? And I got inspired by a colleague who created, it was just a starting point of like, it just triggered something in my mind, which was like how to approach it completely generically, regardless of harness, models, any new introductions in the space. How can you actually set something up and iterate on it? So just having like a Claude MD file that points to an agent's MD file just triggered something in me. Oh, it's like, okay, so now it doesn't matter if you're using Claude or something else. We're actually gonna mount it every session with the same instructions. And doing this at thing actually makes Claude read the actual file. It doesn't do like a tool call. It's mounted as if you wrote the thing inside Claude MD. And then as I was reading through his suggestion, he had like this project structure, and he had a lot of stuff in the instructions that I didn't like have any ownership in, so I wasn't sure about everything. But things like having workflows instead of like depending on the harness to create these special modes, you rather just define the workflows you want to work with, and you just instruct the agent on how it should move between these workflows. And the good thing about that is that you don't have to manually and often artificially move between the modes, like deterministically. You just naturally kind of flow through them. And at any moment, you can like just tell the agent to do something. It's not like guardrailed by something deterministic, which becomes a problem in the experience as for you as a user. And then he did this other thing, which was really, really cool, which is, okay, what if you completely drop skills and MCP servers as well? Because you don't control when the skills are being picked up, and they're different. They live in different places for different harnesses. So it's hard to like share them. At least it's not generic. And another thing is authentication or authorization. So with MCP servers, you just install like the GitHub MCP. And then, let's see, I'm just going to plug in my camera here. You just install the GitHub CLI, and then you have a token, and then it gets access to everything. Which is, I think there's some jank in my camera, whatever. So it just gets access to everything, but you might not want that for your agent. And then the other thing is that MCP server is just a layer over the REST API or GraphQL API. So it just returns everything. So if you list issues, for example, it returns everything, all the data from each issue, which is a lot of like context overhead and so on. So long story short, instead of directly using CLIs and MCP servers, you write scripts. So this is what you can do. And within these scripts, you go and access whatever endpoint with context you want. You can change, you can decide authorization of that. You can decide what data to actually return to the LLM or to the harness, all of this stuff. So I find that to be really, really interesting. So I've been working on this, like, it's kind of a silly app right now. But I thought we could like play around with a couple of challenges. So one thing we can do first is to, oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, it's just like a to-do app. But let's see. Yeah, it's just a to-do app, but it has a structure in place. So we can actually look at the agents file. So do I have a shortcut for this? Yeah, look at that. Beautiful. So in the source folder, it's a Vite project. So you have like assets, but you also have components, but I'm using ReactX here. So it's a very strict architecture of services, state components, and UI components. So services is the interface between your application and the environment. So it holds like an interface for HTTP, local storage, any third-party tools, whatever it might be. But it doesn't know anything specific about the domain of the application. So it doesn't know about to-dos, for example. And then you have state, which is the actual state logic related to moving the state forward. And then you have components, which, and state, of course, knows about your domain. And then you have components, which is basically composing UI with state. It doesn't hold its own state. It just composes it. And of course, it's domain specific. And then you have UI components like buttons and drop downs and stuff like that, which knows nothing about the domain again. Oh, it bothers me. I think it's super janky, the camera. That kind of sucks. Anyways, doesn't matter. I don't think I'm able to fix it. Anyways, what I thought we could do first, because now it's actually hooked up to repo. I want to actually, let's see, can we bring in Claude here as well? How do I bring in the, there we go. Let's bring in Claude. So what I want to do, I want to introduce a new workflow, which is to, maybe we can use. So I want to introduce a new workflow to our agent instructions. And it's a workflow for creating a PR. And basically what we need to describe here is that every change to code that should be created as a PR needs to have its own branch, and that branch name should be related to the changes we made. We should commit using the commit convention of like prefixing with feat, bug, sorry, not bug, but fix, chore, etc. And then I want you to create a script that allows the agent to actually create the PR on GitHub. And the script can just use the GitHub CLI under the hood, but it should like map the arguments to the script, to the CLI. Yeah, I think. Yeah, and the script should also take care of like, do we have a PR here already, or do we not have a PR? And based on having a PR on that branch or not, it's going to run an update or it's going to run a create for the PR. So from the perspective of the agent, it just updates a PR on the branch, it being there or not. Okay, I think that's it. And then I thought, so the biggest challenge I think is working with UI. Like one thing is having a design. Like we have a design document here, but like actually having a design and iterating on the design, validating the design. Like how do you instruct the agent to work on design? So one thing is like UX, because that's more like generating new states in the application, generating new views. It's not about how those views look. Yeah, I think that's the next thing I want to discuss, because I'm really not sure how to do that. I do think I've been waiting for an excuse to use like pencil dev. But yeah, let's see what it did here. So it upsert PR, accepts title and body, checks if PR already exists for the current branch. Yeah. It's always the same call. The new workflow covering branch, naming, kebab case, prefix, like conventional commit prefixes, pushing, running, upsert, and reporting the URL back. Actually, one thing I forgot was we should also dictate the template to use for the PR body. And I want a template that focuses on current behavior, like how did it work before? And then what is the new behavior? And then I want a section that that lists any assumptions made about the change. And then I also want to include any discussions had related to the change. So if you had to pivot, or me as a user jumped in and told you to make changes. Actually, let's not make it discussions. Let's name it considerations instead. Yes. And then a final section there should be how it was validated. So we have current behavior, new behavior, assumptions, considerations, and validation. Morning, Adam. Morning. Oh, I moved my head to the other side. Maybe I should move back over. Let's see if I do boop, boop. That's better. Okay, so now we have this template in here. So we can try this immediately and see how it works. Oops. So let's create a new. Please create a PR for the changes we made here. So now it should be, yeah, it checks the PR workflow. It's really interesting, like how, yeah, the concept of skills. I wonder, maybe they're trying to like push people to more intentionally use instructions. So they create these kind of artificial things around it, like skills. And I guess there's also this idea that you can share skills, but I'm not so sure. It seems to me that whenever you apply generic skills, it's just not gonna perfectly fit your repository and your approach. Oh, I don't have the CLI. Interesting. Oh, look at that. The branch is pushed. Oops, that's my bad. Let's install it. Oh, I don't even have brew. Okay, install brew. Wait, is this? I don't trust this. Hei. Var Emma sint på deg? Ja, men dere er jo litt sånn dumme med hverandre, da. Men du, jeg foreslår at du heller går opp til mamma, og så får du på deg litt klær. Og så kanskje du vil være med mamma en tur ut i hagen, eller gå og ringe på til Eskil i stedet.
Kom nå, Oskar. Du kan lage litt mat til deg.
Så får vi ha litt yoghurt.
Du skulle på kjøpe-shopping.
Sirkusshopping?
Ja.
Ok.
Mamma sa det til meg.
Ok. Det tror jeg nå.
Skolen vi?
Nei, vi skal ikke det. Nei, det er et sånn arrangement. Sirkusshow skal dere på senere i dag. Kom da.
Kommer pappa snart. Men du, nå går du opp med mamsen, og så får du på deg litt klær. Nå kommer pappa opp etterpå, ok? Titt deg. Ok? Ses vi snart, kompis. Let's see, Let's see. Item off, login. How do I, is there a, is this, run these commands in your terminal. Wait, is it echo? Is this, okay. Bloop, and then, oh wait, was these together? No. For fuck's sake. Why isn't this working? Are you kidding me? I'm not even able to install Homebrew. That's oh wait, I didn't install actual. Of course, it was my bad. Ja. Nå må du la pappa få gjøre seg ferdig her. Kan du kle på deg? Du, ikke begynn å sutre nå, vær så snill. Jeg orker ikke. Det går fint, Oskar. Men du, det går bra. Men nå blir jeg litt sånn irritert, jeg. Fordi nå har vi gamet masse sammen, og så nå gamer Emma, og da kan du gå og finne på noe annet, og så kommer pappa opp når han er ferdig. Hæ? Nei, det er ikke det. Nei. Gå opp til mamma nå. There's whining. There we go. whatever. Yes. Do, 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 do. Okay. Okay. It should be. I have the CLine. Authenticator. Let's see now. Oh my god. Oh, why doesn't... That's interesting. Did you create a new shell? Okay. Let's see now. Okay. Add PR workflow. Yeah, because it's just new behavior. One thing I want to add here. Yeah, so now I'm going to be curious. So one thing I want to add to the PR body thing is that the current behavior and the new behavior should be described using ASCII. It's just a really nice, like, more of a visual abstraction of changes to behavior. So could you please add that, and then also take these new instructions into account as you update the PR? I also want to add that, like, and this is what I mean by, like, engineering instructions. So one thing that I often find is that I'm on, like, the wrong branch. So for example, we should add that any kind of interactions with the repo, you should always start from the updated main branch. Let's see. Oh, look at that. Agent receives PR, determine branch name, git checkout, stage commit changes. After implementing all other workflows needed updating. Okay, I think that's fine. You could iterate on this. Could of course iterate on this, but that's nice. And then the other thing, one more update is that I want to make sure that whenever we start a new session with the agent, and that session indicates that we're not continuing on the current branch, that we should change the branch to main and pull down latest. Domain to main and pull down the latest. Yes, I agree. It belongs there. So one thing I thought we could try is, like, how the hell would we approach implementing drag and drop? Either that or how would we be able to have some control of the UI? Like I've seen, yeah, look at this. That's pretty cool. So this is the kind of PRs I want to review. It's like I just want to see the current and new behavior, so I understand the conceptual change. I don't really care about the code changes, or I want to get to a place where I don't have to care about the code changes. Hey, I wanna. Okay, we're gonna add one more thing to the PR body. We're gonna list what instructions you followed, so that the user can evaluate if you actually follow the instructions, if that makes sense. Hi, JK. Wait. Okay, cool. Yeah, because I wanted an excuse to use the pencil dev tool. But I also have this quest now to not use any like tooling. I'm just going to use instructions. So the question is like, how do we approach building UI? And I'm actually not sure. I think that's one of the hardest things to do with AI. Let's see. Yeah, this is pretty cool. We're gonna keep this. Let's merge that. Nice. So let's see. I'm just gonna. How are you doing, JK? How's your agentic sensibility these days? Are you all in agent orchestration? Good question. This is what I'm trying to figure out. So this project is about using a single mechanism to make the agent behave as deterministically as I can and make me feel confident that that I don't review code based on the capabilities of the harness and well, more specifically the model, but I review code in the context of what instructions I've given it to write that code. So I'm more concerned about did it follow my instructions compared to how smart is the model. Like I don't expect the model to just magically generate exactly the code I want it to generate. That will never happen because there's so many different ways to approach something. So what I try to put my mind to now is, okay, how can I instruct the agent to do what I want it to do? And I'm trying to do it generically. So that's why I'm only using agents MD, where the Claude file points to the agents MD. And then I'm not using MCP servers, CLIs, or anything like that. I'm only using instructions and my own custom bash scripts, where the bash script might use a CLI, but it just keeps me in complete control. yeah, it's really, really hard to figure out how to do this. And I think it's really important. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I think you want it to operate from, if you want to rely on agents to actually write code in a project, you have to be at a high abstraction, but you want it to like understand the project. So for example, what I'm doing here is, and I think this is where like senior architecting comes in, because as a senior, you kind of have these experiences of how to structure and test projects well. So for this project, for example, I'm very strict about what is components, what is context, what are services. This is where the state is, this is UI components, and they have like different responsibilities and constraints within them. But these constraints aren't enforced deterministically, they're just instructions. So the question is like, how good is the agent at actually following those instructions? And maybe I'm lacking something in the instructions and so on. So so the world I have this quite foggy image still, but the way I think about this is that this is where we as engineers potentially want to put our efforts. It's like, this is how we jump up in abstraction. It's to create all these instructions that we really had as an intuition in our minds or in our brains, acquiring knowledge over a like experience with different code bases and stuff. But now we're going to actually put those into actual instructions for an agent. And then the way we're going to evaluate the agent is not randomly by the code it generates. Is this code generated from my instructions? Or is my instructions taken into account generating the code? And if that's what's like happening, then you know you're on a good path. But just shoving an agent into any repo and vibe code, that doesn't work. Like, that has never worked. And I don't think it matters how good they get. Arguably, I don't know. Anyways, so so we should be able to just start a new session now, because I had this instruction that it should just change to main if we start something new. And the thing I want to do is, like, I want to iterate on the UI. So I have a workflow for UX, but UX is about, if I make changes to the user experience, the UX workflow is there to kind of identify the different states we're creating and making sure that we are producing the different states and so on, and testing all the different states the user can get into. But UI is more basically, how does it look? And even like animations and transitions, and I talked about drag and drop. Like, how do you work on that with an agent? Of course, you can just prompt it, and it can just make a horrible mess in the code base. Like, should it take screenshots, for example? Should we keep track of screenshots for reference? Okay, let's drop the drag and drop thing. Let's think about, like, how would we iterate on the actual UI here? Like, maybe generate like different versions of it. By the way, sorry if my camera is janky. Maybe it's only on my computer, but then it's like, if you want to create screenshots, you want to create screenshots in specific states. So then the agent needs to be able to interact with the app and produce the state where the screenshot needs to be taken. So I'm a bit more like, what if you could rather like not use the browser, but you would use a headless browser, kind of like how we're doing the tests here. The tests are really cool because if we go to app, so what the hell? Oh, look at this. This is this is interesting. Wait, is this? What the hell is going on here? What the hell happened here? Oh, I think there's... What the hell happened here? I'm very confused. Oh, sorry. What happened in this file? I have a bunch of errors, but I think... What the hell happened here? Is it because we're using T here? I'm just wondering if, since it's TSX, that it's confusing. Oh, what the hell is going on here? I have a feeling it's this generic. Yeah. Or ambiguous, yeah. Add trailing comma. Oh, it is? Wow. Wow. I learned something new. I had no idea. Interesting. Okay, let's jump back. So I'm able to render any component in the app, generating any state I want. So if I would be able to actually take a screenshot of this using this tool, I could just generate deterministically all the states I need. And I can take screenshots and we can show it to the user even. I want to try that because I don't believe in letting the agent go into the browser. It's just too it's too slow, too much context, too inefficient. So yeah, let's explore that. So I want to explore a new workflow where we iterate on UI, but the way I want to iterate on this is that I want to take inspiration from our tests, because our tests are able to generate any component in any state, and I just want to be able to like take a screenshot of that as like a headless browser. Do you have any thoughts, or could you do some research on how we can achieve that? Yeah, exactly. And I wonder, who is the screenshot for? Is it for the agent or is it for the user? So if I'm going to iterate on a design with an agent, it would be nice that I don't have to go into the browser, see it refreshing, having to navigate into the state the UI relates to. What if I could just like iterate with it and it would actually give me screenshots right in the chat, right? That would be really, really cool. Of course, it's limited in the sense that what if you want to actually try an experience of like an actual UX, but UX is different from UI. UI is static and UX is like it needs to live. You have to do something. You're running with JSDOM, doesn't render, which is the gap. Slightly slower test runs, and you need to distinguish logic tests from visual tests. Playwright imports your test utility. Okay, so the goal here is really that we are going to create a workflow for iterating on UI for the agent. And I want the agent to be able to make changes to the code and run a bash script that loads up that component in the browser, takes a screenshot, and then shows the screenshot in the chat to me as a user. With that context, what do you think is a good option here? That would be really cool. Imagine that. You can like tell it something. I don't like that UI. And then you just tell it to change it and you get a new screenshot. And the agent doesn't read the screenshot, right? It's just generating it from the... Well, I guess... Yeah, I'm actually not sure how that works. Like, how does it... If it takes a screenshot, you get a file. Is it able to... Yeah, I wonder if it can show the screenshot inline. Anyways, that's something to figure out. But it can at least point to the file, so you can click it and open it. For an agent, the key constraint in the script needs a clean, stable interface that they can call with predictable output, and code needs to be able to display. And print the path. A stories layer. Oh, stories, yeah. Yeah, but this is nice to have documented anyways. Yeah, maybe this is better. Like, these tests should actually be stories. Yeah, and then we iterate on the stories. Oh. Yeah, renders the matching story. Yeah, but maybe we don't need screenshots. Maybe we just need stories. But the frame of reference, if we are building from scratch, it deviates every time. Oh, you mean if it doesn't read the screenshot or look at the screenshot? Yeah, I guess it depends on what I mean by design. I didn't mean like coming up with new designs, like new colors and spacing and stuff like that. It was more how should things look in the different states. Yeah, I guess there's building UIs is complex because you have, what does the actual design look like in terms of tokens and colors and spacing and all of this stuff. And then you kind of want to design a view, and then you want to look at that view in the different states, and then you want to interact to feel the transitions between the different states, right? It's incredibly complex. And it feels like you need different tools for each of these things. Like you can lean on the browser, right, to do everything. But it's very expensive for an agent to use the browser directly to iterate on these things. Okay, let's see what it said. So it just needs to save a PNG somewhere and print the path. Add storage. Each file exports name state functions using your existing helpers like empty with to-dos. Add a special Vite entry point that reads component app story from the URL and renders the matching story. Script screenshots, takes component story name, spins up playwright, navigates to the right URL, saves screenshot app with to-dos, and prints the path. The agent workflow then becomes edit component code, run screenshot app with to do, read the PNG, display it to you. So you actually have to read it. That kind of sucks, but maybe it's good context. Why this over vtest browser mode? The test files have assertion as their goal. Stories have visual state as their goal. Mixing them makes both messier. Yeah, visual state. That's the thing. Yeah, visual state as their goal. But isn't there a way we could combine this so that we can use these stories to do a deterministic like unit test like we do now, and we can use them to generate a screenshot using Playwright? And I'm not sure if we should even do a unit test for components. I don't think it's worth that much. What we want unit tests for, or like what we want is end-to-end tests. Like testing the actual app. But, and you could arguably write tests for like the actual state changes. But for the UI, like the in this concept, the components, the only thing the components do is derive UI from state. There's no like logic there. So it's like just saying, if this flag is true, show this UI. It's not like, but again, you want to identify all the states. Yeah. Yes, the key insight is that it's just a state setup that returns JSX. Exactly. Tests and the screenshot script both consume the same output, just in different environments. Yes. Exactly. Yeah, this is what I want. Tests import the story, call it, pass element to render, and keep access to app state and for state assertions. No duplication. And the tests can drive the state forward, right? Screenshot starts a vdev server, has stories HTML entry that dynamically imports the right story and renders element. Playwright navigates. Yeah, it just navigates to the toggle to do, and script gives you the exact same state in a real browser. Yeah, but okay, cool. I think it's worth trying this. Could you yeah, write a plan for this? If you use CLI harness, we can just pass path. Yeah, because I'm curious what how Claude deals with images, especially as a VS Code extension. It's kind of like the thing with the terminal is that you don't actually have images, at least not the way Claude Code works. You have other terminal agents that actually displays images in the terminal. And it's a really great experience to be able to actually see the images and click them right there. But yeah, this is another workflow. So we have this, we're actually storing all the plans by date and a title, which is kind of cool. And there's a script that lets the agent go and find the latest plans to kind of understand what was changed lately in the project. You could argue that it could just use Gitlog for that, and of course it can, but the Gitlog doesn't give you all the context, but a plan does. So let's see what it wrote there. Introduce lightweight stories, and we decide, just like we had a template for the PR body, we also have a template for the plan. So instead of having those like random huge ass plans that Claude creates, we decide exactly how it's going to look like. So introduce a lightweight stories pattern that serves as a single source of truth for component state setup. Each story returns element app state, a ready to render JSX tree plus the backing state instance. Tests import stories instead of duplicating setup, and a new script screenshot script uses Playwright to render stories in a real browser via the Vite dev server and save a PNG. This gives the agent a one command workflow for visual UI iteration. Edit code, run, read the screenshot. Storybook was ruled out. It is heavy tooling with its own build pipeline. We want the lightest possible layer. Exactly. Test refactor. The current render with app helper hides context wiring inside the function. Stories make context wiring explicit in the story file itself, so render with app is no longer needed. Yeah. Screenshot entry point. Separate HTML versus query param on main app. A dedicated stories HTML entry point served by Vite alongside index HTML. Keep story. Okay, yeah. So it's gonna put it into the config of Vite. So we basically run a completely different app. The page reads blah blah blah. Dynamically imports the matching story file and mounts the returned element. This avoids polluting the main app bundle. Yeah, that's fine. The script starts the Vite dev server, waits for it to be ready, takes the screenshot, and kills the server. Yeah, I like that, because I was also worried that it needs to like run the dev server next to this, but it shouldn't do that. At the cost of 2-3 seconds startup time per invocation. Yeah, we're just gonna try this. Create scripts. Does it say anything about adding the workflow? I think we should also have a task to add the new workflow to our instructions, our agent instructions. And the way I've instructed this is that when we start implementing, it's gonna like keep track of the tasks here and update the plan file, and it will actually write a report at the end. Yeah, what is this workflow? Is this part of... So I think we should have a brand new workflow. It's not a screenshot workflow, it's a UI workflow. We already have a UX workflow, which is more about like figuring out how all the different states should be in the user experience. But the UI workflow is going to be using this tool to iterate on components and take screenshots and figure out if they look the way we want them to look. Yeah, I read this article, or what's this tweet about like how we need to redefine how we write code or work with repositories and how we use tools. Like if we try to integrate agents in everything we do now, it's gonna fall flat. Ja, skal vi game litt grann da, før mamma og pappa skal dra? Let's see. Okay, I have to jump off. We have a big date today, my partner and me. We're gonna go to the city, get drunk, talk about economics. Then we're gonna go to a hotel, do some spa, stuff, not like spa, but swim and get the alcohol out of our bodies before evening. Then we're gonna eat a pizza and go to sleep. Cool. Yeah, this is exciting. I'm looking forward to testing this, but let's save this for the next stream, and then hopefully we can do that maybe tomorrow. That would be fun. Okay, have a good one, JK. Miss you, man. Have a great weekend.